Hi, welcome to SBR Videos. I'm Peter Loshak. Today is Friday, April 29th. We are doing a regular call with SBR contributor Ian Cameron, taking a look at the opening lines for the next day's baseball games. We're going to take a look right now at the opening lines for the games of Saturday, April 30th. Ian Cameron, thanks for being back with us. In our last call, I mentioned and brought up to you that Philly was the most profitable team in the National League at that point, and that night they won again as an underdog. This is an unbelievable team. How long is this going to last? I don't know. Are they going to win again tonight as a big underdog? Maybe they will, maybe they won't. But on Saturday, once again, they're a home underdog. They've got Eickhoff starting, right? This guy is one of their excellent pitchers. He's coming off a bad start that's a little bit forgivable, right? It was at Milwaukee, which is a hitter-friendly park. He still had 7 strikeouts and no walks in that start. Feels like he's going to bounce back here. And Cleveland, as a road favorite, I'm happy to bet against them. Bauer is supposed to be starting, and he hasn't been reliable in the majors in general. Is Philly maybe once again going to be a good bet as an underdog tomorrow on Saturday?
Well, they may very well be, Peter, but Trevor Bauer, to me, making the spot start here for the Cleveland Indians, started the year in the bullpen, rather. Carlos Carrasco is on the 15-day DL, so that means an open spot now in the rotation, and Trevor Bauer filling that spot here in this start for the Cleveland Indians. A guy with all kinds of potential, and I've been saying that since day one about Bauer, but he's just not been able to put it all together. He's had inconsistency issues. He's been leaving balls over the plate too much. Home runs have been an issue for him in past seasons. His work out of the bullpen this year, it's been okay. It hasn't been great by any stretch. So he's one of those guys that I want to sit back, take this start in, see what he can deliver on the mound here against the Philadelphia Phillies. Eickhoff, on the other hand, coming off a rough start against Milwaukee, as you stated, 7 runs allowed in 5.1 innings of work. Prior to that was good against the Mets twice and San Diego. But, it's going to be a little bit tricky here against Cleveland, especially now that they've got Michael Brantley back. That certainly adds another important bat to this Cleveland Indians lineup. So it's going to be interesting to see what we get here from Jerad Eickhoff in this start. But, after getting roughed up the last time out, he's now facing an American League team here, one that's got a little bit more punch now in their lineup with Brantley's return. So it's not a game I'm really going to actively get involved with, but one that I'm going to be fascinated to see if Eickhoff can bounce back for the Phillies, and if Bauer, how he fares in his first start in a spot start type of role here for the Indians.
Yeah, Philly's been cashing repeatedly as a dog. The opening lines we have are at betonline sportsbetting.ag plus 113 and at bookmaker plus 105. Then the next thing I want to get your opinion on is San Francisco and the Mets. Of course, the Mets have been winning game in and game out, not as an underdog, but definitely profitable over the past couple of weeks, and they're going to be a big favorite against San Francisco. And Jacob deGrom is starting. He's only had 2 starts this year, but both of them have been fine. Matt Cain on the other side, all of his starts this year have been pretty underwhelming. So on paper, it feels like you want to bet the Mets. The opening line is steep, though, minus 175 at BetOnline and sportsbetting.ag and minus 185 at Bookmaker. I don't know. Would you want to bet the Mets here, or would you want to lay off at too steep of a favorite line?
Yeah, it's tricky because the Met tax is in full effect here with Jacob deGrom, and the secret's out about Matt Cain not being the pitcher he was years ago when he was a bona fide top-tier starter for this San Francisco team. Everybody's aware of just the decline and the diminish in his stuff, really, over the last few years. Injuries as well have taken their toll on Matt Cain, and really there doesn't seem to be any sort of light at the end of the tunnel for this guy. I mean, 6.43 ERA for Cain already this season, 15 runs allowed in 21 innings, 27 hits as well in those 21 innings. So he's getting pounded around, and that's a big-time concern. The walk rate's not great, 8 walks, 16 strikeouts. So Matt Cain's definitely a guy that has struggled as I expected to. He's been a bet against pitcher for me this month, and I don't see what changes here taking on the New York Mets. Obviously, the Mets lineup can be a little bit erratic at times, but if they're at least patient and disciplined at the plate, maybe take some pitches, allow the walks maybe to become an issue, because it has been an issue for Cain, especially in his last 2 starts. Those base on ball numbers not good. So maybe the Mets, if they show some patience, can have a good approach at the plate here against Matt Cain. Jake deGrom, on the other hand, I had some concerns with him coming off that layoff, only making his 2nd start of the season last time out against Atlanta. You just worry maybe a little bit rusty, maybe not sharp in that first start. Now, he was facing that Braves lineup, which is a little bit punchless at times, but a very good outing for him. 5.2 innings, 1 run allowed on 8 hits, no walks, 3 strikeouts, 82 pitches. They tried to manage his pitch count. The Mets, Terry Collins in that start for Jake deGrom, just to make sure that they don't push him too hard in his first start back. from that long layoff, but he should be good to go here. The San Francisco Giants, we'll see how they fare. I like this Giants lineup quite a bit. They went through a little funk for a while, but they seem to have gotten out of it. They've really put up some big numbers. They scored 22 runs in 3 games against the Miami Marlins. They put up big numbers against the Padres, 5 and 13 runs in 2 of those 3 games against the Padres. So whatever funk the Giant lineup was in, they've gotten out of it. Going to be a tricky matchup here for Jake DeGrom, as good as he is. I like that San Francisco lineup. So this is another game where I think maybe a little bit of value on San Francisco, but I'm not doing it with Matt Cain, not one bit. He's just a guy that remains a bet against pitcher. If anything, with this game, maybe you look slightly over the total. I think Jake DeGrom, for as good as he is, this is a good, disciplined Giants lineup, and I think the Mets can have their share of good at-bats and runs against Matt Cain, so maybe you get an over the total out of this one.
Excellent point, Ian Cameron. Now you got me thinking about maybe taking a shot with San Francisco on their second half line before the game starts. That might be the best way to play that one. And then the next game I want to ask about, Cincinnati and Pitt. I think every time Alfredo Simon has started this year, I've asked you about the game and asked you, is he just an auto fade? And every time it's paid off, and he's slated to start again at Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh, of course, has a decent lineup. And I guess the question is, what do we expect from Liriano? If we expect Liriano to get hit, the over 7.5 is probably a great bet. If we expect Liriano to be good, then Pittsburgh, even at -200 or on the run line, is probably a great bet. Liriano has had some issues this year, right? On the road with home runs and in general with walks, but maybe the best bet here is just Pittsburgh on the team total over. Is there any way Alfredo Simon doesn't basically get crushed here?
Yeah, I'll be looking to see him get crushed again because he hasn't shown me anything to suggest he's going to do anything differently but get lit up, get hammered, get destroyed out on that pitching rubber. I mean, it's just been an absolutely dreadful first month for Alfredo Simon, and I'm shocked that he's getting another start here with this Cincinnati Reds rotation. I thought he would be gonzo after that last start against the Chicago Cubs, but it hasn't happened. They're giving him one last kick at the can. Now, sometimes you worry with these pitchers. They get that one last shot maybe to stay in the rotation, that they're just desperate. They bring their best and they just gut through a better outing, but I don't see it happening here for Simon whatsoever. 19 runs on 22 hits in 9.1 innings of work, a 16.39 ERA here in the month of April. And, to make matters worse, he's facing Pittsburgh for the second time already. It's a team that should be very familiar with Simon. Now, he did pitch halfway decent against Pittsburgh earlier this month, 2 runs in 5 innings. Pretty much his only halfway decent start really this season, but a second look for this Pittsburgh lineup against the very mediocre delivery of Alfredo Simon, it should produce very good results here for Pittsburgh. And let's give this Pirates lineup credit. Right now, they're in a good zone. I mean, they've scored 6 or more runs in 6 of their last 7 games. They're on fire right now at the plate. More bad news here potentially for Alfredo Simon, that this Pittsburgh lineup's in very good form right now. But as you said about his counterpart here, the Pittsburgh lefty, the veteran Francisco Liriano, he's hit a bit of a speed bump after a very good first start against St. Louis to begin the season on opening day. His last 3 starts have been very shaky, 6.46 ERA during that span against Cincy, San Diego, and Arizona. 11 runs on 16 hits and 15.1 innings during that span, 5 home runs allowed, 12 walks in those 15.1 innings. That's not good. Very wonky, very poor command and control being shown by Liriano. So the Reds lineup, if they're patient, they might be able to get to him. And remember, Cincinnati's lineup, rather, they'll now be facing Liriano for a second time. So they should be a little bit more familiar with what they can expect. Higher scoring game sure makes a lot of sense here to me. I'll be looking hard at that over the total of 7.5 runs. We could see a little bit of a slugfest at PNC Park on Saturday night.
Yeah, sounds good. These auto-fade starting pitchers don't last for long in the majors, but while they're there, get them while you can, and that seems to be the case with Alfredo Simon. And I call him Simon. And Mama call him Simon, I'm going to call him Simon. All right, those are 3 interesting games I wanted to specifically ask you about on Saturday, April 30th. What else do you think is worthy of note right now, Ian Cameron?
Well, one start I'm looking forward to taking in is Matt Latos for the Chicago White Sox. Basically a reclamation project here. No one thought he would have this kind of start to the season with the White Sox, but what can you say? It's been a shockingly impressive first month with 0.74 ERA in 4 starts. Very good numbers on the surface, and he's only allowed 2 runs so far in those 4 starts combined. Just incredibly impressive stuff from Latos. But there's some metrics that suggest this can't hold up. I mean, his FIP is 3.56, his XFIP is 4.96, that BABIP is 167, the strand rate is at 97%. He's been able to minimize damage, get his way out of trouble. Mr. Houdini, guys get on base, he somehow gets out of it. That's been the case for Latos. So he's been good, but he's also been a little bit fortunate in the first month. And now you're going to be pitching in Camden Yards, Baltimore Orioles, very good lineup, 9th in Major League Baseball in runs scored, averaging 4.52 runs per game. Going to be a little bit of a different animal here for Matt Latos. If he can get by this start with that below 1 ERA intact, I'll give him all the credit in the world, but I don't think that's happening. I think this could be the first time this season where we see Latos struggle a little bit, and that strike rate too. Swinging strike rate, rather, very low, 5.3%. He's just not getting a ton of swings and misses, even though his ERA is very, very good. So that definitely remains a concern. And I like Kevin Gossman for Baltimore. He's getting another chance in this rotation. Had a solid first outing as a starter this year, 1 run on 3 hits allowed and 5 innings of work. He's not faced the White Sox lineup. That should be a benefit to him. And again, the Chicago lineup is feast or famine. They're very erratic. They've had some good games, but they've had a lot of games where they haven't produced. They've been winning games early on. This strong start for the White Sox, more their pitching and their bullpen than their offense. So they could scuffle a little bit here at the plate, taking on Kevin Gossman. We're seeing Baltimore about a -125, -127 type of range here as a home favorite. I think that might be a price worth laying on Saturday night. I think Baltimore has the edge, can get a victory here at Camden Yards Saturday night.
Yeah, it's just a tricky series because for people who might not be aware of it, well, the White Sox and Baltimore are the top 2 teams in the ROI standings in baseball. Philly is number 3, but the White Sox and Baltimore are 1 and 2. Ian Cameron, thanks so much for your thoughts. Talk to you again very soon.
All right, thanks, Peter. Have a great weekend. Enjoy the games and good luck.